Hi, I'm Ultra First, another Wild Thing, the Wolfpack. Today we're going to go over episode 3 of my Leadership and Paganism series. So, get yourself something to warm. You know, it's going to be a cold one out today, because it always is up here in Alaska. So, hang tight, and let's get into it. So, my question is to you. How do you know when you're ready to lead? Well, that's the neat part. You really don't. That's kind of a trick question, really. Well, not really. But so, and here's why I'm actually talking about this kind of deal, right? So everyone wants to be part of a pagan community or a heathen community, right? Which, coven, you know, whatever one that fits to you. Everyone wants to be a part of it. Everyone wants one. But so does everybody else. And nobody wants to lead one. Nobody really wants to put the work in to actually make it happen. No one really wants to make the hard decisions or be labeled as the bad guy. Be the one that has to potentially outlaw someone. Hopefully you never have to, but it's always a possibility. No one wants to put their time and effort into building the community from the ground up and all that good stuff, but somebody's got to do it, right? So my question is, how do I know when you're ready to lead? Or how do I know when I'm ready to lead? How do you know? I mean, short answer is you really don't, right? But if you know your community needs a leader, who else but you? If not me, then who? Think about that for a little bit. And the question you ask yourself is, are you actually qualified to lead this? Are you actually qualified to lead a kindred, lead a coven, lead a pagan community? If you ask anyone who's practiced paganism, heathenry, imagine Wicca probably has the same thing too. The term imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're not really doing things the right way as things should be. You're not really doing what you feel is right, or you have some doubts in yourself of whether you're doing the right thing. I mean, in reality, that's normal. That is a normal thing, to feel like you're not doing it quite right. And that's okay. Even with leadership, you should always kind of have that question like, am I really doing this the right way or the best way? I think those are healthy questions to ask yourself, especially in a leadership position. And you should always ask yourself, am I really qualified to do this? Now, if your conclusion is, well, maybe I'm not the one qualified for this, kind of go back to, if not me, then who? If not me, then who? And of course, you could always be qualified. You could always strive to be qualified. One of the things I kind of learned, and I'm going to borrow my military experience on this, is we earn our leadership every single day. We earn our position every day that we show up. Maybe one thing is, if you become a pagan leader, coven leader, heathen leader, did I earn my right to be called that today? Did I do the work? Did I study the Lord? Did I learn to be a better leader in the community? Did I do what I can to be better than I was yesterday? Now, with that being said, what are you willing to sacrifice to become the leader in the community? What's the price you're willing to pay to make that dream pagan and heathen community or coven? Because everyone wants a group that they could call their own. Everyone wants to be part of a bigger, better community, and everything's all honky-dory. But who's willing to sacrifice to make it happen? Are you willing to sacrifice to make this happen? I'm not saying you got to cut your hand off or anything crazy like that, but like, how much time and energy are you willing to put into this? How much money are you going to put into this? You know, buying food and stuff to have people come over as a potluck, or how much time of your day you're planning your bloat, your ritual. How much time are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the community? Now, this kind of goes in tandem. Well, maybe not, that's the wrong word I'm using, but this kind of goes back to the original thing is, what if there isn't anyone to lead a pagan community or a heathen community, a coven, a druid circle or whatever? What if there isn't leadership around? What if there isn't leadership available? If you identify there isn't any, the next question should be asked is, where do I start? Where do I start becoming a leader? When do I start becoming a leader? Now, if you picked up a book yesterday and you just learned about paganism and heathenry yesterday, maybe you're not quite ready for leadership yet. But what if you've been a self-practitioner for a few years? What if you've seen other kindreds and covens do their things? Maybe it might be time for you to try your luck at it. If there's a neighboring kindred, neighboring coven that'd be willing to give you some insight of how to lead, it wouldn't hurt. Because to lead, you need wisdom. You need wisdom to lead. But where do you get wisdom if there's no leadership? Where do you get the wisdom and the guidance when there's no other local kindreds, no local covens, no local pagan community? Where do you get the wisdom? That's where the gods come in. That's where your ancestors come in. That's where your spiritual practice comes in. What you've learned from understanding how the gods operate, how they work, who they are, who the goddesses are, which ones connect to you. That's where your wisdom lies. Is knowing how to communicate with them, how to talk to them, how to understand how things actually work. So with that being said, I ask you this. If not you, then who?